Manchester City and Leicester pick up big wins as the race for the top four and the Premier League title heats up. All of that and so much more on this week's episode of Added Time. All right, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Added Time. My name is Sonny G, and I am joined, as always, by Mike Angus.
It's time to play the game.
It is indeed time to play the game. And you, mate.
Sorry, I
wasn't expecting it. Caught me totally off guard, mate. Well, also joined by everyone's favourite Everton fan, Stu Palmer.
Hello, gentlemen. Good evening. Looking forward to this. Looking forward to this. Maybe not, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. And for the first time, a brand new addition to the team is my good friend and co-host of the Games and Grats podcast, Steve.
Good evening.
Welcome, Steve.
Yeah, welcome to the wonderful world of your team getting worse once we start doing a football podcast.
I hope not. I really hope not.
You hit the nail on the head.
This could be a one and done if that's the case.
Yeah, Leicester get a pasted off Villa at the weekend and it's all over.
Yeah. No, glad to be here, lads. Thank you very much for inviting me on.
No, not at all. This is we have a good time on this show. Usually we would be joined by John Scott, but the results didn't go his way that badly this weekend that he decided not to bother. So what we'll do is we'll crack on with this weekend's fixtures, just gone. And it didn't go well for us, to be honest. Most of us, me, Mike and Stu, we've had better results, it must be said. But we'll go through it, and it's going to be very interesting to hear everybody's thoughts on the weekend. Steve, I can see you're already smiling there, mate. Look how happy you are.
What can I say? I mean, it's dreamland at the minute, but we all know it can just turn like that. I mean, you guys did that pilot episode a few weeks ago, and Man City were 9th, I think. That's how quickly things can change. So, just let me enjoy it while I can, I guess.
You enjoy it, mate. You enjoy it, absolutely.
Yeah, you crack on. Right, so we'll start then with the big one. Leicester City 3, Liverpool 1. Mike, what happened, mate?
Well, I think it was clear for everyone to see. We had a great first 75 minutes, I thought. I thought we bossed the game pretty well. Looked pretty comfortable at the King Power. Leicester had a few opportunities, don't get me wrong. Vardy at the crossbar, which was a great chance. But I felt that we had the power there to go on and win that matchup. I thought our defence wasn't really troubled too much in the first half. And we had a few opportunities. We probably should have scored at some point, but it didn't happen. And then it came down to the second half. Mo Salah scored a great goal. Brilliant setup by Bobby Firmino. I think that was, we were looking for something from him. I said he'd been a bit quiet last couple of games, and that was just, an absolutely sublime touch to set up Salah, who he couldn't miss from there, and it was a great goal. And at that point, I was pretty confident. I felt we were looking good. I hadn't seen much from Leicester, just little fits and spurts. My only thing that was bothering me slightly was, unfortunately, Thiago, after he came on to replace Milner, I felt like he wasn't having a good game at all. There were a lot of touches going awry. His tackles weren't in the right place, and just like he just didn't have a great game for me, unfortunately. And he's somebody I've been watching really closely because obviously I was looking forward to him coming and hearing all the hype about him. First couple of games he played great, I thought, and then he had the injury against Everton, obviously, Stu. But since he's come back, he really hasn't performed as well as I was hoping. He hasn't fitted into the team, and he's really changed the dynamic of the team. And I thought when Milner was on, we looked a lot more sort of attacking and a lot more just comfortable in possession, whereas Thiago was making mistakes. And I just feel like maybe there's a lot of pressure on him to perform. And I think maybe when he gets a goal in the Premier League or gets, just a good couple of bits of play, I think suddenly it'll slot into place for him and it'll become a lot better for us. But then obviously we could go on and then talk about the sort of 10 minutes of madness that we had. We've moaned about VAR quite a bit, but it really did disrupt the game. I thought that VAR decision, obviously it was a foul by Thiago on the outside of the box, a little bit soft because it was Harvey Barnes, I think, running at him. I think Harvey Barnes could have been through there, but he took the foul, and the referee pointed to the spot for a penalty. When they looked back on VAR, it was outside the box, but there was still confusion over what was going on. Either way, it looked like Leicester would be equalising from that. So, and of course they did, but with even more controversy because they said one of the Leicester players was offside and the goal was cancelled. So it was all a bit of a charade. I thought that. Fair play to Leicester, back in the game, 1-1. And from there, I thought, we'll kick on here and finish this off. It's still not a problem. And then obviously Alisson and Kabach, who had a great game. I thought the new defender, he didn't have to do too much, but what he did do was solid. And I think it was his ball to clear, to be fair. I don't think the goalkeeper needed to be out there. And Alisson had a bit of a mare. He's took Kabach down and the ball's bounced. Who's he dropped to? Obviously, Jamie Vardy, and he's not missing from that situation, and it was we were punished for that mistake.
I don't think you'd miss from that situation, Mike.
I'm a striker. I definitely wouldn't have missed from there. No, but it was it was a sad turn of events for us. And then from there, back to panic stations. What can you do to get back from that? You should be winning the match. Instead, you're 2-1 down. Push everyone up. Salah gives it away. Harvey Barnes, who had a cracking game, he looked really lively. He's in on goal. Good goal. I still felt Alisson could have got a boot on that, to be fair. But as it is, it's 3-1. It's a defeat that I didn't necessarily feel was deserved, but well played to Leicester. They got the result, and they hung in there and looked lively towards the end of the game, which is what a lot of teams against us tend to do. So a shout out to Steve. Good result for you, mate. But on another day we'd whip you. So.
What you got to add to that, mate?
I think that's a pretty fair assessment. For 60, 70 minutes, I actually thought it was a pretty shocking display from Leicester. Liverpool were better in possession, better out of possession. Leicester couldn't get out of their half. In that first half, we were too slow trying to play out the back, and the press from Liverpool was just absolutely doing us. It was one of not the worst performance, but an off par performance from Yuri Tillemans in the first half. Every time he got the ball, there was a Liverpool player on him, and he just couldn't control the midfield like he has been all season. So I was quite thankful to be going in at 0-0 half time, because it was probably the angriest I've been at watching Leicester for a long time. And it's not because I think we should be going toe to toe with Liverpool, because they're still a great team. With all of those injuries that they have got and the form at the minute, they're still a great team. It just felt to me that we were missing an opportunity, a bit like last season when we played Liverpool on Boxing Day. At that time, it was first v second, nighttime match. I really thought, come on, let's show them what we're about, and Liverpool pasted us. And I come away that night from the King Power, and I texted a few mates and said, I've just watched the champions. And it wasn't Leicester. So it had that feel about it, and I thought this is going to be another 3-4-0, and people are going to be saying, Leicester are in a false position, etc., etc. And then once Liverpool got the goal, I thought, okay, this is going to be it. We might be able to nick one at the end. We've always got a chance when we've got Vardy up front. And I think for me, the turning point in the game was, okay, the VAR decision was what it was. Was he offside? Was he not? I think Firmino's toenail played him on effectively. And it's one of those that I don't necessarily agree with. And even when it goes for your team, I kind of sit there and think, that's just, it's not what VAR was brought in for, but I guess that's a discussion for another day. But I thought once Harvey Barnes started to get into the game, that's what changed it. And I think once he got the better of Trent, I think Trent's head dropped a bit. And we scored from the free kick, which came from a Harvey Barnes run. And then the second goal, as you've already said, it was a mistake by Alisson. Felt Vardy was never going to miss from there. There was a chance just after that as well. And credit to Alisson, he made a world-class save. The save where he pushed it out to Vardy, that was pretty poor. But then Vardy should have buried that, really. And that save itself was world-class. And that's the Alisson that we've come to know. And then it was another Harvey Barnes run, which led to the third goal, which he scored himself. And listening to a couple of interviews afterwards, I think it was James Maddison said they slightly tweaked the formation after the Liverpool goal. Went into a diamond, which I think enabled Maddison to get a bit more space. And I think that dragged Thiago out of position a little bit and opened up the space for Vardy and Barnes. And looking back on it since, actually, despite how annoyed I was at the first half performance, we did have two great chances in that first half, which I think gave Leicester a little bit of hope. And they stuck to that, and credit to Rodgers for sticking to that game plan, making that slight tweak, keep giving the ball to Harvey Barnes, because that was clear. That was the plan most of the game. And Barnes was always acting as a second striker. Once he started to get the better of Trent, that's when we then went on to win. But it was a really strange game, because an hour in, I was about ready to give up, to be honest. I thought it was game over. I thought once Liverpool had scored, that was it. I thought they'll see this through, and but here we are, we won. So happy days.
Yeah, and it's a tremendous result for Leicester, and it's another disappointing result for Liverpool. I think, it's probably a case for Liverpool now. There's no way that they're going to, retain the championship. City's to lose now, really. But, something's got to change at Liverpool, I think. I know there's a lot of injuries there, and, that's obviously the big issue. But, the one thing Liverpool don't want to do is drop out of the top four. Is head into the Europa League next season instead of competing in the Champions League, especially when, everything was looking so good and everything, was starting to really turn in Liverpool's favour again. So if you were to drop out of the top four this season, Mike, I think that would be, it's probably an overreaction to say catastrophic, but it just wouldn't be. It's not a good look for the champions. I know this because, we were the champions and we dropped out of the top four as soon as David Moyes came in, and, we've not recovered since. So, what do you have to change to turn it around?
Well, I can still see us rallying later on in the season, to be honest. I think, Klopp's had a tough week, and, the fans stick by him. I've seen a few bits of people saying Klopp out and stuff. A lot of Everton fans obviously saying that. I haven't heard many Liverpool fans saying it, to be fair.
Pathetic from your fans. It's crazy.
I don't think it's been any of our fans, Stu. That's people just staring it, to be fair. I think our fans are all behind Jurgen Klopp, and what a man. He's turned our team around, and I think hopefully we'll end up in the top four. If not, we'll just have to win the Champions League so we can still be in that next season.
Well, yeah, there is that, to be fair,
The way we're playing at the moment, it really wouldn't surprise me if that happened, to be fair, because it's the sort of, you have a bit of karma, don't you? A bit of bad luck doesn't go your way, and then suddenly, it can turn around. in an instant. And that's the mad thing about football. You know, so you can be riding high one week, and then suddenly, you know, you're in fifth. West Ham are just overtaking you at the very moment as we're doing the show. You know, so you know, I think Klopp's done a great job. The players he's brought in, you know, Diego Jota was absolutely amazing for us. It's such a shame he's been injured, because I think it would have been a completely different story if he'd been playing, and it would have given some of the other strikers time to refresh. And, you know, a lot of the team just look a bit tired and a bit jaded. And, you know, I just think if they have a proper summer break this year and then come back next season, you know, looking back on track, you know, so... But we've still got the rest of the season to go, and there's a lot of big games to come up, including this week coming up. It's the derby. So, you know, anything could happen there. So
you're going to beat us, Mike. I'll be defeated right off the bat. And I know we're going to get to last night in a bit, Sonny, so I won't say too much until I'm prompted.
I think it'll be...
We'll get to the next round of fixtures, lads. Don't worry. You'll get your chance. You'll get your chance. Don't worry.
I don't know if I want to.
I had one other positive to mention. I did predict the score correctly for this game. Not for the correct teams, but I did predict the score correctly, so I was happy about that.
No, that's something. That's something. Hey, look, whatever keeps you happy.
Little positives.
Absolutely. Right. Another shocker for Crystal Palace. Didn't see this one coming at all at Selhurst. Burnley 3, Crystal Palace 0. I mean, Palace fans, you know, understandably livid. It just does not seem to be going for him this season at all. It's probably I mean, Hodgson's days are quite possibly numbered. But, you know, this is a team that blows hot and cold all the time. And for the most part this season, it has been cold, you know, and, you know, it's really tight down the bottom there. Like really tight down that end of the table, you know?
Yeah.
And losing these kind of games against teams like Burnley, who are all, you know, they're fighting for their lives as well. You've got to put up a better performance at home. I know home and away, you know, is a little bit indifferent at the minute because no fans or whatever, but, you know, you've still got to put a shift in, and they're just not doing it. They're just not doing it at all.
They missed Big Wilf, though, didn't they?
Yeah.
I know you can't put it on one player. But
of course, no.
Zaha,
he is a talisman for them, though, isn't he?
Zaha pushes him along, and he scored a lot of goals this year as well. And it's a big miss for him, and the striking department as well. I mean, Benteke's had a couple of goals, hasn't he? But Michy Batshuayi, what's he really done since he's gone there? I know he's been in and out the team, and they've got the new fella. They've got the other guy they got in the window, but it's just they haven't got a talisman, and the talisman was out, wasn't he, for the game? Yeah. So it's hard. It's hard. Good on Sean Dyche, I say, though. They've been trucking along, haven't they, in more recent times? Had a bit of a slow start, but they've been picking the results up. So yeah, I like Sean Dyche with the you know. He doesn't have the most amount of money to spend, does he? Don't know whether it'll change with the American owners, whether they are going to give him a little bit. But he does well with what he's got. So,
I mean, yeah, for lack of a better term, he's barely had
lucky likeys.
That press conference was outstanding.
It's brilliant. It's really good.
I mean, for the most part, you're right.
We played pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, they don't. You're right in what they say, Stu. They barely have a pot to piss in, for lack of a better term. They don't, and you know, for them to you know, stay in the Premier League season after season, and you know, they're not setting the world on fire. They're just keeping themselves afloat in the Premier League every year. And will it change with the new owners? It might do. I mean, surely. I mean, you can't be happy just surviving in the Premier League every season. Eventually, you are going to want to tick on and start not challenging. I mean, you know what I mean? Like just getting further up there, maybe pushing for a Europa League place or something like that. It's not beyond the realms of possibility. I know it probably sounds ridiculous to say,
they've got a quality keeper there as well. I'd love him at Everton. He's a very good goalie. He is at the back. You know the amount of shots he faces. It's crazy. The stats like. It's like
I bet you'd rather have no one in goal, wouldn't you?
Oh my God! Well, Olsen's getting it in the net. He'll be getting in the net later. Me man, he'll do it. He'll sort it. But yeah, Nick Pope. Going back to Nick Pope, he's got to be number one for England now, hasn't he, boys? Surely you want him. Me being a Welshman, I don't really know, but I'd say you'd go for Nick Pope in goal internationally.
Oh, I would say so. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I agree with that. The problem with that though is that Southgate seems to trust Pickford, and
I don't know why.
But he's not let him down in an England shirt. I think that's the only thing. That's the only thing. He's not let him down yet. He's obviously more than capable, but I think that's what it is. He's just sticking with it. And it's very Southgate, that is. It wouldn't surprise me if I'm going off topic a little bit. All this talk of Foden and Maddison, Grealish, he's going to stick with Mason Mount, isn't he? Let's be real. He likes his favourites. So Pickford will probably retain his place.
Spoilt for choice in the middle, isn't he? He could effectively have there's two players per position, and in the middle, that's the hardest place to pick.
Yeah, definitely.
I was looking at something the other day, lads, and they'd made 4 England teams, 4 full teams with different keepers, defenders, midfielders, and attackers. And literally, I looked at them and I thought they all look pretty decent teams.
Yeah.
So he's got a hard job to pick from. He's just got riches at the moment in it, but it's getting it right. And at the last couple of tournaments, unfortunately, we've not really got it right when it's mattered. Unfortunately, and it's not. It's made me lose my sort of passion for England a little bit, to be honest, because, I was a huge England fan, used to go to all the games and, even tried to travel abroad with them and everything. So it's just, it's one of them. I watch it still, but sometimes it's a tough watch. So I just hope that they get a decent squad together and they really drive on and do something. But going back to the Burnley match against Crystal Palace, Burnley were queuing up for goals in this one. And, there was all sorts of shots coming in. And I'll tell you what, the third goal, Luton's goal, was absolutely brilliant. It was a great one, too. And then a volley to finish. What a goal that was. I was sitting there watching like Alan Partridge.
One of the lads had him at the back in his dream team, Lowton. Was gutted. I was gutted. He's had 15 points this week. It's you jammy sob.
Stu, you love a bit of fantasy, don't you?
Oh, I'm losing my position now, Sonny. I've dropped because I kept the faith in Calvert-Lewin and James, but Barnes and Madison got me out of the... it could have been worse. Could have been worse than it was this week. Barnes and Madison. Sorry. I keep going off. Sorry.
Right, let's...
different coloured pitch, Stu, other than blue.
I've got Trent, and he's not doing anything.
Yeah.
It was a bit better against Leicester.
I'm all right.
He's good crosses in.
I'm all right.
Just before we move on to Man City, West Ham are 2-0 up. Diop scored the second. That's a live score. We're about, what are we in at the minute? Probably about 60-odd minutes in, 62 minutes in. West Ham 2, Sheffield United 0. Sheffield United really struggling. I mean, they're probably gone, right? Aren't they? Them and West Brom.
Yeah.
So.
Just need them to get one more point so they beat Derby's record. Let them keep that.
Yes.
Yeah, fair one. Right, Manchester City beat Tottenham Hotspur 3-0. Jose Mourinho, he just ain't going to get it right there. I don't think. I think his days as a top manager are way behind him. I think he showed that at United and going to Spurs, and the fact that it's the same pattern again. Not blaming, not taking any responsibility really on himself. It's always someone else to blame. And the blame really has to stop at one person, and that is Jose Mourinho. I mean, obviously, there's the comment there from John Scott. Even in all, Tottenham was shocking. Bale had a moment that made me still think he has something. But, Tottenham, they're just not. They're just not at the races. They're nowhere near. There's talk at the start of the season, Tottenham could win the league and all this. I know they're so far off the pace. They're basically Arsenal.
They looked tired, didn't they? I think the game with Everton that game with Everton in the midweek had tired them out. And but it could have been oh so different because Harry Kane had that free kick, which hit the post. That was a cracking free kick. It was unfortunate that didn't go in. But then obviously City just turned it on. And Gundogan's had such a good run recently in the team.
Yeah,
and,
he's been incredible recently.
His second was absolutely had me in stitches because one thing, it made Carragher do that noise again. And the second is the replay, the slow motion replay. Yeah. Poor Sanchez absolutely face planted it, didn't he? And it was a great bit of play by Gundogan, but he went round him so well. And Sanchez, that replay just that had me in stitches. And as much as I didn't want to see City taking Tottenham apart, it was kind of what we predicted. I think I said 3-1 last week, thinking Tottenham would get a goal, but they couldn't even manage that. And it's a shame that Jose hasn't got them turn around. John just messaged there asking if I wanted to trade managers with him. I think I'll stick with Jurgen Klopp. Thanks, mate. But
it's probably a safe bet, isn't it? John's just said now. He said if that's a preview for the League Cup final, I'm worried.
It could very well be.
Yeah, it could very well be.
You wouldn't put it past Jose, though, would you? Jose, sorry, to pull a result out in that cup final and go, there you go. I've got your trophy for you, lads.
1-0, absolute shithouse result. Got really scrappy goal, part of the bus.
Who's available in managers' teams? Who would Spurs want? I put this to John Scott. Realistically, I know he's not doing it, but who comes in? Who's available? Well,
get Ronald Koeman in.
Oh my God! No, don't get him. He should have stayed with Holland. I said this all along. He was doing all right. They were qualifying for stuff after years of not qualifying, but he can blame it on an aging squad. He ain't the man. That's a nostalgia management. That is ex-player. That's all that was. What's he done? What's the bloke done? I don't.
I knew this would trigger him. I knew it would.
I just.
Looking a bear.
Who's gonna? No, but realistically, lads, for Spurs, who's gonna come in? Because they're gonna want someone. They're gonna want someone like. They're gonna want a class manager. That's what they expect don't they?
There really isn't anyone available at the minute, but. You want someone who's going to play some sort of attacking football. You want someone who's going to play. Spurs want good-looking football. They don't want this crap that Mourinho plays. Just like we didn't want that style of football that Mourinho plays. Liverpool wouldn't have it. Arsenal wouldn't have it. City definitely wouldn't have it. Should
they have stuck with Poch then? In hindsight.
Well, yeah, I don't even know why they sacked him in the first place.
See, my mate was saying, when he was getting linked with United, my mate's not a fan, but I've always liked him. And I thought he did a great job there. I think they've cocked up massively. I think Daniel Levy is messed up. I think they should have kept him because he was doing well. I thought, from the outside looking in. I know, when you're not focusing on your own club, you just see bits and bobs, don't you? But it's an odd one to me that he was let go, Sonny.
Yeah, same. I mean, John's just put there. He's like he said last week. The only guy he'd have until the end of the season is Harry.
He got
headnap.
Let's be fair. He got him to a Champions League final.
Yeah,
didn't he? Come on now. That's
the worst Champions League final in recent memory, by the way, as well.
Terrible.
Awful.
Terrible.
Beating Ajax. Ajax were doing bloody brilliant in the tournament, and then they managed to pull out the bag. But I don't know. I never. Not just because he's doing badly now. I just never could fathom why Poch was allowed. You know what I mean? Silly.
Something went on there, didn't it? I think maybe someone like Daniel Levy was looking at it and thinking, okay, Poch took us to a final. Mourinho will get us, will win us the final. Because he is a serial winner. But
yes, but if you're only going to win the Milk Cup, you don't want to.
Yeah, but again, I don't know how much longer is he going to be able to keep this serial winner persona going, because he's not won a league title anywhere in Europe for 10 years, and he's not won a Champions League for 10 years either. So, and if he doesn't do what is expected of him at Tottenham, what next for him? Because I can't see another big club in the Prem taking a chance on Mourinho. I really can't, because
the game tactically
changed.
The game tactically has evolved. Barcelona set the precedent years ago. Everyone followed it, and we've got an older manager. It's I don't know. There's new ideas with your tactics, and I don't think he's always stuck to what's got him to where he was today. But it's different. Times change, and you have to move on. I don't know.
That's interesting comment from Chris Jolly in the comments there. He's suggested that Edin Terzic should be the next Spurs manager. What's everyone think of him?
I have to be honest, I've never heard of him.
Erin Terzic.
Who is he? I'm going to Google him now.
Steve, no.
Edin Terzic. No.
I'm bamboozled there, boys.
I'm trying to figure out if it's one of them like IP Freely, whether it's one of them. But I don't think it is. Let me have a look.
Is it German professional football manager and former player? He's the manager of Borussia Dortmund. But yeah, the point I was going to make was that
apparently so.
I think a German manager would help Tottenham, to be honest, because they just need, I think, like a formula, a plan. Because at the moment, Jose's given them a defence, hasn't he? That's what he was he's building from the back, really, wasn't he? Because he was already pretty solid with Kane and Son. And then
how's Eric Dyer?
Not happy about the defence.
How I know this has been brought up before, but I thought it as well. A central midfielder playing as a centre-back. We saw it with Fernandinho at City when he was stuck. I know he was trying to sort out a company out there. Why? John's brought this up as well. I thought it's time to come. Eric Dyer shouldn't be playing centre-back. But we've all agreed with that, haven't we? It's like Henderson. I know you've been short, Mike, but you don't want Henderson there, do you? You want him where he's natural. No. He needs to be in the engine room in the middle. Like, why play Eric Dyer there?
Yeah. Similar when he was attacking Henderson against Leicester the other day, he looked great. And, it really, that driving force in midfield is what we have been missing, I think. So, there was a couple of moments against Leicester where you saw him pushing upfield at pace and you just thought, why is he playing centre-back? It's like, but needs must. And that's, we're missing Virgil van Dijk, aren't we? So, we can't talk about Liverpool all show anyway. But, I think Tottenham, with a formula, with just I don't know, they just need a bit of Vorsprung Dutch technique.
maybe get old scratch and sniffing from the Germany job. Low,
Joachim Low,
yeah. He doesn't love a bit of ball sniffing in the Premier League. We're missing that probably.
I'm not.
No, I could do without it.
Right, moving on. Brighton and Aston Villa played out a really crap 0-0 draw.
Villa haven't been picking points up, have they? Not been in form at all. A good point for Brighton. I can't say too much here, can I really? That's a bad draw.
No, you're right, yeah.
After what we went through, but I'm just saying, Villa haven't been great, have they? I know they started off really well. They were all guns blazing. Something's gone awry there with them. But I'm only looking from the outside looking in. It's not my club. I'm sure Villa fans...
that's it. I mean, I'm the same there. Quickly going back to Tottenham, John Scott said he'd love Klinsmann.
Hey,
that would have been my shout.
He's done a bit of everything, hasn't he? International management. He's done he's done club management. Yeah, maybe. And he knows the club.
Favourite as well.
He knows he's a great player, superb player. And he's done a lot.
Celebrating on the touchline, sliding down on his stomach and all
that. Took the big pay.
Better than what we mentioned before, isn't it?
Took the big paydays in America. Can't blame him. No.
Just before we go off Brighton and Villa, guys, I thought Brighton were unlucky. They had quite a lot of chances on goal. Trossard, McAllister, Burns, all had chances. Villa only really had one decent chance that I saw, which was a tame effort from Barkley. But the man of the match in that game had to be Martinez, didn't it? The goalkeeper, because he kept them in the game. And I think 0-0. It could have been Brighton's win. That I predicted it was going to be 1-0 to Brighton, and I think in the end they were unlucky not to get a goal. The amount of chances they had that were close.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one. I mean, I'm not sure what it is with Villa. I mean, they've been playing really well. They've been playing some good stuff, some really good stuff, and Brighton. Yep, all right, fair enough. They're not a terrible team by any stretch. But you expect Villa to beat them, don't you? But this season is nuts, really. I mean, everyone's beating everyone. Everyone's picking up points all over the place. So, I don't think Villa will be too disheartened with the draw. To be honest, they're still there or thereabouts. So, yeah, I mean, it's a great result for Brighton, probably in the grand scheme of things. But I don't think Villa will be too disheartened with that.
No, they shouldn't be. I mean, they stayed up by the skin of their teeth. If VAR or touchline goal line technology was working, they'd be in the Championship now, and Jack Grealish should be at Man City. So they should just be thankful that they're still in the Premier League. But It's something I predicted, actually. I thought if Villa could keep Grealish, Mings, McGinn, had a couple of decent signings, which they have, I thought that they could do well. I didn't expect them to be 8th after 20-odd games, but they've done really well. Grealish is just he's so good, and he makes such a difference in that side. And
his value's gone up this season, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, when he was being touted for 70-odd million in the summer, even I was like, not a chance. No one's paying that. It looks like about right, doesn't it?
He's proved me wrong, lads. I said I didn't. I did not think he was up to it. You know, I've had to eat humble pie with it. My old man was like, "He's a good player. He's a good player." Yeah. No, Dad, I don't know what you're seeing him. He's all like dead flashy, and he's too worried about his socks being down lower than everybody else. You notice that?
Yeah,
his socks down lower, and it's a bit like what's he got? But he's been fantastic. Got to be fair. Eat humble pie. Eat humble pie with that one, gentlemen.
Yeah,
I saw him play against Leicester in it was the 2015-2016 season, and the game at the King Power. Villa were 2-0 up at half time, and we came back to win 3-2. I had to get that in there, and he scored an unbelievable goal, and that's 5 years ago. And I had a feeling then he looks like he's got something about him. I really wanted Leicester to sign him when Villa went down that season. I really wanted Leicester to sign him, but he stuck with Villa, and eventually they got promoted. I don't think he's not going to be there forever, is he? And that's
of course not.
That's going to be the big thing for Villa is if they can, cope without him. Which,
if they get European football this season, I think they'll keep him for at least another season. Obviously, the contract he's signed is to bump his value up, obviously, but if they get Europa League. Yeah, if they get Europa League this season, then I think they'll keep hold of him. But if they do finish where they are now or lower, I think, parting ways for a stupid amount of money is probably the right thing.
Possibly.
Right, Southampton 1, Wolverhampton Wanderers 2. Good result for Wolves. Southampton still struggling to pick up points.
This is exactly we said last week. This could go either way, didn't we? This one, and we were thinking Southampton have looked really good, and then I only caught the highlights for this one. Was Theo Walcott playing for Southampton this week?
He's injured. Mike Che Adams was on the bench as well. Walcott wasn't even in the squad for match day. Like he's out, but he's always been injury prone.
He looked a bit limp.
Yeah.
Apart from Ings' goal was cracking though, guys. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Great goal, the volley by Ings.
He's going to be wanted in the summer, I think.
I'd have him.
Didn't get to play with us, unfortunately. He didn't get to play for us much, unfortunately. He was injured.
Got a bad injury though, didn't he?
Yeah. He was out for quite a long time. We saw him at randomly. We went to Tranmere versus Liverpool. They had a pre-season friendly, and he was the first time he'd been back for a long time. And he looked good then. He looked on fire, but then obviously someone who's had to go. The thing that irked me about this match, watching it back, was the penalty situation. So there was the handball that Neves scores, and then a couple of minutes later, there's a very similar handball at the other end. I thought, and it didn't get given. Did anyone else notice that at all?
I think
handball situations were almost identical. It was like, why have they given one and not the other?
Yeah, this is something that doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, decisions are being, given incorrectly in every single match. It's not, it's easy to point out decisions in the big matches and, what difference they make, but it's across the board in the Premier League. I mean, the refs almost don't have control of it. And then, VAR doesn't seem to be assisting in the way it should be. It's a real problem, and it's something they need to get right because, it's a big money business. Yeah. It's not, and it's not, yes, okay, it's about picking up results, but these clubs are businesses. If an incorrect VAR decision sends down a team, then they're losing a shitload of money, and it's just one of them things. I think it's a problem that really needs to be solved sooner rather than later because, clubs are going to start really kicking off.
Yeah. I'm surprised it hasn't happened already because, like I said earlier, Villa stayed up because goal line technology didn't
exactly.
work in that first game back after the break. And I'm surprised that whoever it was that went down, and I can't remember who was 18th last season. I'm surprised that there hasn't been some sort of legal action to say you've cost us. But I mean, the reality is that clubs go down with 100 million now, and then there's parachute payments. So
of course,
maybe in the grand scheme of things, it isn't worth it. But I don't know if you remember years ago when Sheffield United went down, West Ham stayed up, and there was the whole dodgy dealings with Tevez and Mascherano. And Sheffield United, I think they tried to take West Ham to court, or the Premier League to court. And I'm surprised that didn't happen with this whole VAR thing last season with Villa. So you're right, it's a big money business, and eventually someone's just going to be like, this isn't good enough. You've cost us a place in the Premier League. You've cost us this much money. Here's some court action. Yeah, absolutely, and it's going to happen. I mean, we will. I'm going to talk about VAR again when we move on to United game in a minute. But I just think there's something really amiss with VAR handball decisions. And like Mike said, ones that are very, very similar and not given. And it's like, okay, well, what's your reasoning behind it? Like, at least I know, it's taken you long enough to come to that decision. Tell us your reason why. Why have you come to that? And why is that different to the one you gave before? These things just don't make any sense. And as far as this clear and obvious error crap is concerned, I mean, there are clear and obvious errors every single Premier League game that it's ridiculous. The referees are awful.
It needs to be right. Why bring it in the first place? But then what are they going to do with them? And surely they're going to get them in the summer to go over all this, and they're going to have to watch a lot of it back. But they've given it for one thing and not for the other. Just to go off on a tangent, I'm not big into rugby. I don't claim to know much about it. But the way they do the video system. I watched Wales Scotland. I know it's been in rugby for a long, long time, but it's far more smoother. Yeah. And they get it right. They get stuff correct. So it's got to be the same. It's got to be the same with this.
You don't get much of this in the Champions League, though. Like they're saying, all the controversy that you get in the Premier League every single week, you don't get that when the Champions League's on. And there's decisions that go to VAR in the Champions League. You don't really get it there.
That's possibly down to other leagues. Other leagues are doing it right, and we're not. So you've got refs from all over Europe, obviously refereeing in the Champions League. They're used to it. They do it better in their own league. So when it comes to the Champions League, it's not a problem. Premier League, it's an absolute joke. I mean, twice in a week, Mike Dean, goes to the monitor, sends a player off, and then both get rescinded.
Yeah,
and he's supposed to be
good enough. It's not good enough.
It's not good enough at all. Not good enough at all.
No, it's poor. So big win for Wolves. Let's move on to West Brom 1, Manchester United 1. Going to keep it short and sweet. We need centre backs. Victor Lindelof isn't good enough, but what I will say is that West Brom's goal shouldn't have stood, in my opinion. The striker's hands were literally right in Lindelof's face. If that's wrestling, he's disqualified for an eye rake if the ref sees it. I don't think the goal should have stood. Do I think it was a penalty? No, but I don't think West Brom's goal should have stood. And it was a clear foul. He was all over him. Hands scraping the face. He can't even see. He's absolutely mauled him. And he did the same a bit later on to Maguire as well. I mean, he was given offside, but, it doesn't really, with all that aside, it doesn't mask the fact that we do need to buy another centre-back because Victor Lindelof just isn't good enough. And the other thing that...
Sonny, would Eric Bailly not come in, or you're not fussed on him either?
Yeah, of course, he absolutely would do. I don't even know why he's persisting with Lindelof.
I know he's had a lot of injuries. I've always thought Eric Bailly would be much better suited for you in that. And you're saying it. You watch him week in, week out.
He came in. He had a few games, in the team, playing really well, putting his body on the line. One thing about Bailly is committed. Like Lindelof, he doesn't want to commit to the ball. It's almost like in fear of getting hurt. You know what I mean? It's like it's not good enough. If you're a centre half, centre halves are supposed to be hard as nails. you got to commit yourself. You got to. I mean, they shouldn't have scored that first goal because Lindelof should have got to it.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, okay, his hand was in his face. So it was a foul and it shouldn't have been given in the first place. But Lindelof hasn't committed at all there. He's let that happen, and we've conceded, and he's hoped that the goal would be overturned, and it hasn't. And he looks a fool. He's not good enough for United. Eric Bailly is good enough, and he's committed, and he's willing to put his body on the line.
He's got to put him in, Sonny, hasn't he?
He's got to put him in.
He's on the bench,
yeah, he's fit and on the bench. It's like
crazy.
It's like, Ollie, come on, you sat there. You know what you've got to do, and I mean, at the death, Maguire, good save from Sam Johnson to deny Maguire and by tipping it onto the post. But at the end of the day, we've hit a bit of a slump. We dropped points against Everton last week, and that felt like a loss. This one didn't feel so much like a loss. I thought West Brom actually, I thought they looked, not saying that Everton didn't look good because obviously they did well enough to come back, but I actually thought, the signings have made a difference to West Brom. And, I think they're gone. I don't think there's any saving West Brom now, but, I think Allardyce has actually got them getting some sort of shape together. And next season, obviously, if he's still there or whatever, I think they could be okay, but United, not good enough. Newcastle at home, the next game in the Premier League, and you'd fancy us to do them, but at the minute, it's gone back to that. You don't know which United's going to turn up, and for me, that isn't good enough.
They haven't got Callum Wilson either. Callum Wilson's out till April now, Sonny, so I reckon you should smash him.
We should have beat West Brom, mate.
Yeah, you should have done.
There was one promising thing for you, Sonny, was Bruno Fernandes. That goal he scored was a cracker as well.
Yeah, it was excellent, and he was rubbish before that. He wasn't doing really anything.
That's
why he's so good, because he can just do some nothing.
Your attackers were quieter though. I was expecting a Man United sort of 3-0 away win, comfy away win. West Brom looking good, persistent, but Man United just attacking and decimating them. It didn't happen. It was a quiet game.
I think Martial's, partly to blame there as well. I don't think he's not playing well at the minute, and I'm not sure what it is. I do rate Martial. I think he's a great player, really great technical player, but I don't think he works hard enough for the team. Now, for me, Greenwood came on, made an instant difference. Because we switched Rashford out to the left, and that's where Rashford is easily most comfortable and plays his best football. But he keeps persisting putting Martial in there, and I think that's going to have to change against Newcastle, because I think Greenwood needs to start, and I think Rashford needs to start on the left with Cavani through the middle, because it just wasn't happening for Martial. He wasn't working hard enough. He doesn't really track back. He looks not arsed a lot of the time, and that's it's a real problem. You can't play for a top club like United and want to win trophies and all that stuff and just sort of jog around. You need to work for the team like everyone else does, and he just doesn't do it. And it's almost a waste of a player.
Just on the centre back thing, Sonny. Who do you think United should go for? And is it for someone to go alongside Maguire? And the reason I say that is because Solskjaer, he made it quite obvious in the summer that he was after a left-footed centre back. You remember when, after the Bournemouth game, he was caught saying to Nathan Ake, "I'm after a left-footed centre-back." Yeah. Now, does that mean he wants to bring a left-footed centre-back in to put Maguire on the right side? Because Maguire never played on the right side of centre-back when he was at Leicester, and he's not done it at United. So is it a centre-back to come in? I know you're saying that they need a centre-back because Lindelof's not good enough, but is it to put someone alongside Maguire? Or is it two centre-backs?
I think it's two, yeah.
Completely?
I think it's two.
To be honest, two completely.
For at least for them to sort of take a step back, at least, I don't think Maguire's that good. I think he's okay. I think he did an all right job, when he was going forward against West Brom. But I don't think, he's not. I don't think he's good enough for United, is what I'm trying to say. I just don't think he is. He says the right things. He's a polite lad, and all that. But that can only get you so far. When you're at a team like United, you want to be, you need to be challenging. You need to be really putting yourself on the line. And he's not quick. Good in the air, that's fine. But he doesn't offer enough in terms of that threat. Like, I don't feel like he does the same for United that he did for Leicester in terms of attacking the ball when, like from corners and stuff like that. He doesn't do it enough. And I always say this, and it's still the same now. It's, how many world-class centre halves are there in the world? There really isn't that many. You can't name that many. I mean, obviously everyone's pointing at that lad who plays for, is it Leipzig that he plays for, Upamecano?
Yeah, he's going Bayern.
Yeah,
he's going Bayern.
It's done. Yeah.
Genuinely think we'll end up with Ramos.
Typical Bayern Munich, that cherry picking.
Yeah, probably.
Cherry pick the best, like Leverkusen. Oh, we'll have someone from Dortmund. At the end of the day, they got the monopoly in that league, haven't they?
Of course they have. Yeah, I think we'll end up with Ramos for a season.
Yeah, possibly.
Just to sort of get a bit of experience in there, but the young lads coming through as centre half ain't good enough. Tuanzebe's not good enough. There's at fullback we're fine. Luke Shaw is great. And he's got competition from Telles. Wan-Bissaka's great, and he's got competition from Williams and Dalot when he comes back in. But at centre half we're in big trouble, and if they don't solve it, we'll never win. We won't win anything. And so that's a big thing that they need to address in the summer. And I think Ollie knows that. The rest of the team is fine, but centre halves, I think they're going to have to throw big money at it. It's going to be a 100 million job for sure. 100 million plus.
Big money.
Big money. Right. I categorically said on this podcast last week that Arsenal would not beat Leeds.
Have a bit of faith with Arteta.
Arsenal 4, Leeds United 2. They didn't turn up till about the 75th minute or something, did they?
It's Leeds all over, though, isn't it? It's all season long.
Wasn't the normal game at all.
10 wins, 10 losses, 2 draws before this game. 38 for, 38 against. It just typifies what Leeds are about. Easy on the eye, can't defend, I'm afraid. But Bielsa sticks to his guns. That's just how it is.
It's a case of all fart, no poo with Leeds.
But they're just flattered to deceive, don't they, sometimes?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean,
you watch them against Leicester, I was like, Leicester were poor, but Leeds were fantastic. Really, really good. And then the game later, they lost. And one of the things, we've got a mate, me and Sonny have got a mate who's a Leeds fan, and the one thing that he'll say to me is that they put so much into a game that the next game, they haven't got it. And it almost takes them that 90 minutes, another 90 minutes to then recover and then go again because they are just relentless. And the Premier League is a lot more intense than the Championship. These are all Championship players. I think a big loss for Leeds, when Calvin Phillips doesn't play, you can tell. He's the engine. Much like you said with Henderson and whatnot. Calvin Phillips is their main man, and when he doesn't play, there is so much space in front of that back four, and that's what Arsenal exploited yesterday.
Pierre Aubameyang in the goals as well. His first hat trick. I couldn't believe that. That's like crazy. I was like, he's got that wrong. I went looking on the internet. I was like, no, he hasn't got it wrong. He's 100% correct, but that's what he needed. Maybe he'll kick on because Arteta needs him firing, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think Arsenal now they're pretty much where they're at this point where they're going to be, at the end of the season. Then I think next season you might start to see Arsenal kick on a bit when Arteta's got the chance to sort of build what he wants to build. He's probably going to do a similar job to what Ollie's done at United. Get rid of the players that don't suit what he's looking for and bring in what he does want. I can fully appreciate that. So I think Arsenal, they're having a bad season. They really are. Well, they're having a bang average season. Picking up wins, and then next week they'll probably go and lose, and it's just very stop-start for Arsenal. But next season, I think we'll start to see some sort of Arsenal resurgence. It's going to take a couple of windows for them, but next season I can see them sort of coming back to. Not sort of, Arsene Wenger levels of Arsenal, not just yet, but they're at least competing, with, Liverpool, City, Chelsea, around the usual good teams.
Saka's a hell of a player.
Great player.
Can't wait to see what, look at the age of him. I tell you who else put a shift in that game, and he was highly touted at Madrid when they took him as a kid, that Odegaard. Odegaard put a shift in yesterday, I noticed. He looked decent with Danny Ceballos in there as well. So they've got players, but as you say, he needs to whittle out. He needs to weed out the ones he doesn't want. It's a bit like an Everton scenario. There's players that need to go. So
yeah.
The main problem with Leeds as well was by the time they got going, they were 4-0 down, weren't they? That was the thing.
They're great to watch most games. Don't get me wrong, but they're appalling at the back. Some games they really let themselves down in a defensive sense.
That's Bielsa's stubbornness.
He
needs to really drop that and start thinking about it a bit more logically in terms of all right, this team will batter most teams in the Championship, but you can't play. I mean, it showed when they came to Old Trafford earlier on in the season. They got absolutely walloped. You can't come and play like that in the Premier League. You just can't. And there's a real stubbornness about him. I don't think he's willing to change that ethos of attack, can't defend for toffee.
Do you reckon he's using his spreadsheets this season?
Probably.
He had all Championship, didn't he? People hiding in the bushes, watching training sessions.
Yeah. Guys, one thing we didn't mention as well was the goalkeeper who's been pretty good all season for them, the young guy Melier. He had a bit of a mare, didn't he? He had a real mare. He gave like 2 penalties in about 5 minutes. One was given, was it? But
all the keepers are susceptible. I don't care who it is. Everyone's conceding.
Yeah. So it's a good win for Arsenal. Bad loss for Leeds. And speaking of,
my days.
Take it away, Stu. We'll just sit here and listen for a bit.
Sonny, I tip my hat to Fulham from minute one. They wanted it. They can say about us being tired on Wednesday. I've never heard so much poppycock in all my days.
Poppycock?
I'm trying to watch what I say. I used the F word last week, didn't I? So
don't worry about that.
Basically,
cock.
just Fulham, right? Fulham wanted it. Fulham wanted it from minute one. We never got going. James looked disinterested. It looked like he didn't want to know. Some games he can be fantastic. Him and Sigurdsson together, that doesn't work. That's been said by a lot of fans. I thought that. Tom Davies, why take him off? It was 1-0 at that point. He's the one keeping it going in the middle. Andre Gomez, too pedestrian, too slow, sloppy passing in the middle. It was awful from us. I've got to be fair to him. Mazja up front for Fulham, he looks decent. He might get him some goals, because Mitrovic.
Where's he on loan from?
They're Bordeaux, and he played for Sunderland as well. So they got him in. He looked good, and I tell you who else looked very good for them, just to give him, because they were brilliant. We were awful, but they came to play. D. Cordova-Reid, he was fantastic. Anderson at the back, I don't think he missed a header last night. We just didn't do anything. And then he changed it to 4-4-2, at 1-0, and you got Decore out wide. And then James is off when the second went in. James was disinterested. That wasn't an injury. He'd had enough. But that's
the story of James' career, though. You do hear a lot of this sort of his stop-start.
He's getting paid. He's getting paid the big bucks, but it was shocking on all. It was just horrible. Wasn't good. Richarlison through the middle as well. That doesn't work. He's got to be out. He's got to be out inside forward. They were just man marking him. He didn't do much, truth be told. But us being knackered from Wednesday, that's a cop out, that, because players came on. We had a weakened bench. James wasn't even in the team on Wednesday. We missed Calvert-Lewin, but you can't put it on him. I could speak for hours about this. I know I haven't got hours, but Fulham, you can see why they've drawn 9, and that's their third win now, isn't it? But they've been close in games. If results had gone their way, they'd be out that relegation. I think Scotty Parker, you can see what he wants to do. It's just the Premier League for you. But I'm not.
Tony Khan needs to get his hand in his pocket, doesn't he?
He does, Sonny. It doesn't bode well when you've got City on Wednesday and then you've got Liverpool on the weekend, because I think Liverpool are going to be chomping at the bit at Anfield over the weekend. We're gonna get battered, boys, in both games if we're not careful.
What do you think? What are you missing, Stu? What are you missing?
he needs to bin people off. Andre Gomez has been off the pace since the injury last season. He's not been right. Seamus Coleman, he's been a great club servant. He's great going forward. He was getting burnt on the wing last night. He couldn't cope with it. They were just relentless. They knew where to play the ball. Digne's been a bit hit and miss. I know Mike commented on that. You've got to put that cross in every single time. It wasn't beating their defence, the ball. It's just hard, Sonny. He's got Sigurdsson's not good enough. I'd say this all the time. He's not good enough for us. It's hard. I'm sure Carlo's got plans in mind. It's just hard to see what.
Of course he has. Yeah, he will definitely have plans in mind. Of course he will. He's a world-class manager. You can only play what you inherited. He's come into that. He's come to Everton, and again, it's like Arteta, like I was saying before with Arsenal. It's going to take a couple of windows. It's going to take a bit of patience. Everton have been sort of hovering around that same level where you are now for long, the longest time, and it's time now for you to reach that next level. But it just never seems to happen, and I think it's some of the players that you buy.
Mason Holgate, I've been quite positive about him. He was smiling at one point. It's like, what are you doing? Ben Godfrey again. I've got to be fair, I know harp on about him every week. Good player. Although we conceded to that lad, 20 million is a steal. But we need a wide player, definitely. Another striker. They need to. I don't think Josh King will be the problem solver there. We need someone with Calvert-Lewin. They need to spend money, but I don't know. It's very hard. Another right back as well. Going back to positions, Coleman will be finishing up. I think it's John Joe Kenny. Sorry.
Hey, sorry, Stu. I was going to say it goes a long way when you think at the end of the game. Seamus Coleman probably had the best chance of the game, didn't he, when he hit the post?
Yeah, and then there was one with Josh King, which was offside. He was off. Which we're saying about VAR and stuff like that. He got on the end of it, but he made his run too soon. But Carlo was copping for it from certain sections of the fans. But it's hard because that team we need players.
Everyone's
need players.
beating everyone this season.
It's very hard. It's very hard, and our home form. Look, we've been beaten. Newcastle came down and beat us 2-0. We're not good at home at all. It's not good, but it's understandable with no fans. So
I think it's something they're putting in the water in Liverpool. At the moment.
Yeah. So so it's a tough one for Everton to swallow. But this week Fulham were all elite.
They look good.
Thank you.
One thing I meant to mention, guys, was me and Stu were talking last night, and at one point they mentioned how much Seamus Coleman had cost Everton, and it was something like 60,000. I did a quick calculation and said to Stu, he's cost them about 168 quid, was it, Stu, per game?
Yeah, you were quicker than McManaman, but I'll tell you what, he's not the brightest, is he, Stevie boy? Like,
no, definitely not.
From the second half, someone had done the equation and got the exact same answer as me. And
Steiner maths.
That's it. He was getting bigged up on TV. I was like, bloody hell, I should have
You're
sent
wasted
it instead of Stu. I know, quick maths, me, mate.
Don't get me wrong. He's been fantastic for us. It's just he's 32 now. It's.
Of course, I mean you need to replace him eventually. Yeah. I mean he's been a great servant for the club, obviously.
And Bainesy in the same token. Obviously, Bainesy's on the coaching staff. Moyes did well there with we didn't overpay for people, and he managed to get these players. But yeah, sorry, bit long-winded there.
No, not at all.
Covering.
Yeah, but let's have a quick look at the Premier League table before we move on to give our quick predictions for the next round of fixtures. Man City top of the league with 53, running away with it. United and Leicester both on 46, played the same games. Liverpool in fourth on 40 with West Ham right behind them. In fact, that's going to be changed now, isn't it? Because West Ham are winning. Yeah, so West Ham are actually going to be fourth as it stands at the minute. And then Chelsea 6 with 39. And Everton in the usual Everton position of 7th with 37 points.
So sorry, West Ham played 25 matches then?
Oh, that might be... No, that might be up to date,
I think it is, when I was looking at it before.
West Ham are 4th.
Are they?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, Mike.
Yeah. They've played 24, but they're 4th on 42.
Oh, that's it.
Oh, right. The point saying, okay, fair enough.
And
can we have a quick look at
it stands? Yeah, Chelsea are obviously drawing at the minute, so that's pushing Liverpool down another place.
Could we get a? Here we go. League table is based on a 0-0 scoreline. Thanks,
Lovely.
Rich.
Lovely.
Cheers, Rich. We needed that. Can we get the bottom of the league as well? Might be putting him under pressure there. He might not have it. Oh, here we go. Right. Bottom of the league, Fulham, West Brom and Sheffield United. To be honest, it looks tough for all three of them. I mean, 7 points adrift of Newcastle in 17th. That's a big ask. I mean, Newcastle have got to, it's only 7 points, but Newcastle have really got to balls it up to allow Fulham back into it. But it's, in the same breath, those teams have got to pull victories out of them, out of the bag, and you can't see that happening either.
They were saying against Everton last night that the Fulham have got to. Sorry, Steve. They're saying that Fulham have got to play a lot of the teams around them, though, still in the league. So
yeah, they have.
Could be a bit of changing around there, but I think it looks dead and buried for Sheffield United and West Brom, unfortunately. But Fulham just might have a glimpse of hope catching Newcastle or Burnley.
Look at Fulham's goal difference as well. It just shows you, if they can get the points, look how bad they are. West Brom and Sheffield United. Fulham -12. It's not bad when you look at that table there. They could. The games have been tight. I've harped on about this. They've just drawn too many games. When you look like Burnley and Newcastle 4 and 5 draws, it's kept them out of it.
Yeah, but they're the results that make a difference at the end of the season.
Yeah.
And they're the results that them bottom three just haven't been getting. I mean, Sheffield United have been awful, really. West Brom obviously they got a point this weekend, but they're gone, I think, and I don't think Fulham will escape it either. Steve, what do you think?
I think it's going to be a big ask for Fulham to get out now, which is a shame because I think Stu mentioned it earlier. I really rate Scott Parker as a manager.
I do, mate. Yeah, absolutely. Sorry.
I think no, it's fine. I think it'd be interesting to see what can you do with money and all that sort of thing, and maybe a higher profile club. The same sort of thing said about Sean Dyche, and I think the same about the Brighton manager as well. I think he's got a really good philosophy and the way he wants his teams to play, and he's doing really well with not super. He hasn't got superstars. What I was going to say was that there's always a team around this sort of time. What we got? How many games are left? 12, 13 games left, something like that. Yeah. 14 games. There's always a team that kind of drops, like really drops, and they're really, really looking over their shoulder. I think that could be Palace or Southampton. Southampton are on a really bad run. Really bad run.
They've dropped into the second half of the table, innit? After they were doing to the top weeks ago.
Yeah. It will only take for Burnley and Brighton to pick up a couple of wins, and Palace and Southampton are right down there. So
yeah,
it will be tough for Fulham. But those if I was a Crystal Palace fan, I'd be thinking this isn't good, especially without Zaha.
Yeah. Right. Let's have a quick look at the next round of fixtures in the Premier League, then, Richard. There we go. Right. Quick round of predictions then. We'll do quick fire. Burnley, Fulham. I'm going to go draw 1-1. Mike?
2-1 to Fulham. I think Fulham are going to be on the ascendancy after that match against Everton.
Steve?
0-0.
Stu?
I'm going to go 2-2, gents.
2-2.
Yeah, I think there'll be goals.
Loves his 2-2, doesn't he?
I know.
Big ballerina.
Yeah.
Time.
Yeah, that's it. Right, Everton, Man City. I'm going to go Everton 0, Man City 4. Sorry, Stu. Mike?
It's fine.
I'm going to go 3-1. I think Everton will score, but I think City will put them to the sword.
Yep. Steve?
3-0 City. Sorry.
Stu?
I know we're gonna lose, but I'm just gonna say 3-2 Everton because I can't do it.
Fair play.
We are gonna lose.
Get your money on that. Money on that. They're the ones that come good.
I'm not misty-eyed in the slightest. I know what's really gonna. I'm 3-2 Everton.
Wolves, Leeds. I'm going to go. I'm going to go 3-3, high scoring. Mike.
Yeah.
I'm going to go 2-2. Stick with Stu. It's 2-2, 2-2.
Yeah, 2-2 Ballerina. Steve.
Knowing Leeds probably about 8 all or something. No, I think it'll be 3-2 to Leeds.
Stu.
Gonna go for. I think Wolves are gonna kick on. I'm gonna go 2-1 Wolves. I think Nuno's gonna get them playing a bit now.
Hello.
Richard's joined the
Bossman.
Special guest appearance. I like it. What was coming in to tell us then?
3-2 Everton, just to let you know, it's 50-1. Stick a tenner on.
I'm going to bang that on, Steve. May as well. Premonition.
What was 8-all?
Southampton, Chelsea.
350-1. So.
Southampton, Chelsea at Southampton. I'm going to go 1-1. Mike?
I don't know. Southampton 2-1. I think they're just going to get back on track a little bit at home and give them a chance. 2-1.
Steve?
1-0 Chelsea.
All right. Stu?
I said I don't like Tuchel, and I don't think he's the man, but I'm going to go 2-1 Chelsea, just the way Southampton are at the moment.
Fair enough. Burnley, West Brom. Hang on, that can't be right. Burnley, Fulham, Wednesday the 17th. Oh, hang on. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Burnley, West Brom. 1-0 Burnley.
Same. Burnley 1-0.
Steve?
2-0 Burnley.
Stu?
Oh, bloody hell. It's Big Sam, in it sometimes. He's bloody... no, go 2-1 Burnley. I like Dicey Boy. He's doing well under the circumstances.
Dicey Boy.
Yeah, Dicey Boy.
All right, Liverpool, Everton, then the big one, lads. I'm going to go 2-1 Everton. Mike?
I think we'll be hopefully back on form. I think we'll win 2-0.
Steve?
2-1 Liverpool.
Stu?
1999 at Anfield, Kevin Campbell. I'm going back a bit. That's the last time. I can't go against this. I'm going 3-2 Everton.
Jesus Christ.
Michael, I don't mean it. I'm just...
Fulham,
but you get your bets on, Stu.
Fulham, Sheffield United, another bottom of the table clash. That's got draw written all over it. I'm going to go 0-0. Mike?
I think Fulham are looking good. I'm going to say 2-0 to Fulham.
No, fair enough.
Sheffield United.
Steve?
2-0 Fulham for me.
Stu?
I'm going to go Fulham 2-1. I think Scotty Parker's going to pick a winner. They need it. It'd be a big 3 points for him.
Do we have more fixtures than that? Because United are playing next weekend. Here we go. Right, West Ham, Tottenham, draw 1-1.
Same 1-1 draw I've got written down.
Steve?
2-1 West Ham.
Stu?
2-2. That 2-2.
That Ballerina again.
I love that 2-2.
Villa, Leicester, Villa. I'm going to go Leicester 2-0. Mike?
I was going to say Villa 2-0. I've just got a feeling Villa might turn up good again next weekend.
Steve?
My heart says 2-1. That's all right. My heart says 2-1 Leicester, but my head says Desmond 2-2.
2-2. Stu?
I'm going for 2-1 Leicester.
All right. Arsenal, Man City. I'm going to go 3-1 City. Mike?
I've actually gone for an upset. I've gone for 2-1 Arsenal. I think after Aubameyang's come on this week and looked pretty good, I think they might just turn them over. I don't know why, but we'll see.
I'd love it. Steve?
2-1 City.
Stu?
3-1 City.
And then it goes on to United, Newcastle. I'm going to go 3-0 United. Mike?
I was going to say 3-1 for United.
Okay. Steve?
3-0 United.
Stu?
I'm thinking same 3-1, Mike. 2 United.
All right.
I had one more match on my list as well. It might be Tuesday next week, but it's Brighton Palace. I don't know if that's might be the Monday or Tuesday match.
Okay, well, I'm going to go 2-0 Brighton then.
That's what I had as well. 2-0 Brighton.
Steve?
1-0 Brighton.
Stu?
I'm gonna go with Brighton. I'm gonna go 1-0. 1-0. Yeah, 1-0.
Yeah.
Potter.
All right, so you can hear how we got all of those wrong next week.
Hey, I was going to say, if anyone got their 2-2 right, the rest of us all have to wear tutus.
All right, so we'll be back probably this time next week with another episode of Added Time. Don't forget you can catch John Scott on a Friday for pre-Added Time. That's going to be at 11:30 on Friday morning. You might even see the Evertonian and the Liverpudlian on board as well. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this week's episode of Added Time. I'm Sonny, and I've been with Mike, Steve, and Stu, and we will all see you next time on Added Time. Later, guys.
Okay.
See ya.
Catch you soon, everyone. Thank you.
This is me, Mackenzie! She is at least 5 sandwiches short of a